thought was suspicious is there was his wallet and his phone. There was about $15 in cash, like, laid out like this, as if to show this wasn't a robbery. It looked like someone set it there, like all nice. The wings were right by his feet. They hadn't been opened. The pizza was all over the road. The other thing I want to say, why was the car going this way if the pizza place is down that way?
Right.
That's the important.
Picture this. You're driving down the road and you see a man lying on the pavement, barely breathing, blood pooling around his head. You don't know him. You've never seen him before in your life. But something in you says, stop. So you do. You jump out, call 911, cradle his head off the cold concrete, and pray he makes it until help arrives. Now imagine this. His girlfriend pulls up to the scene. The woman who's supposed to love him more than anyone. And she's not screaming. She's not crying. She's not dropping to her knees asking if he's going to make it. Instead, she's standing there, talking, casual, composed, telling her version of what happened like she's reporting the weather. That's not imagination. That's exactly what eyewitnesses say they saw the night Tyrone Davis Jr. was found dying under a bridge in Gainesville, Florida. And when those strangers finally tracked down his family to tell them what they witnessed, everything about this case started to unravel. December 27th, 2025. A Friday night that should have been filled with Christmas joy. Tyrone Davis Jr., known to thousands online as Dro, or Stepdaddy Dro, was supposed to be celebrating. He'd planned a romantic cabin getaway with his girlfriend, a woman known on social media as Lulu. Instead, that night ended with Tyrone lying unconscious under the Southwest Archer Road overpass near I-75 in Gainesville, Florida, with catastrophic head injuries that would take his life 2 days later. But before we dive into what happened that night, let me tell you who Tyrone was. Because this isn't just another case number. This was a man with a voice, a purpose, a family. Tyrone was a trucker. Every morning, he'd post motivational content under the hashtag Morning Motivation with Dro. You feel me? That was his signature line. Thousands of people started their day with his words of encouragement. He was a father. He had children who looked up to him, who depended on him, who loved him. He was a man of routine, discipline, and love. The kind of man who doesn't just randomly jump out of a moving vehicle for no reason. So what happened on December 27th? According to the official police report, Tyrone Davis Jr. jumped out of a moving vehicle while in traffic on Archer Road. He sustained significant injuries to his head. He was transported to the hospital. He died 2 days later on December 29th. Case closed. Investigation ongoing but not suspicious. That's the story law enforcement is going with. But here's where it gets interesting. The people who actually found Tyrone that night, they're telling a completely different story. And it's a story that should make every single person watching this deeply uncomfortable. A 911 call came in. Someone reported an injured man on the roadway. When first responders arrived, they found Good Samaritans already on the scene. These were strangers, people who had never met Tyrone Davis Jr., people who just happened to be driving by and saw someone who needed help. These strangers stopped their cars. They called for help. They held Tyrone's head off the pavement. They tried to keep him conscious. They did everything they could to save the life of a man they didn't even know. And then Lulu arrived. Not in the ambulance, not hysterical and covered in blood, not screaming for someone to help her boyfriend. She just showed up. And according to multiple eyewitnesses, her demeanor was chilling. Those Good Samaritans eventually connected with Tyrone's family because they felt something was deeply wrong. They needed to tell them what they saw. Here's what they said.
He pulls forward and he stops. And I'm like, what's this guy doing? And I honk and he turns his blinkers on. Like, okay, he's not working. We go around, we see someone's in the road. She's a nurse, so we immediately pull over.
So where were you not to stop y'all?
We were in this lane.
Is outside
his
lane?
car would have been right here.
He had the flashers on.
We got here, we see his body. He was up there about 15 feet. We get out. She immediately runs over. I had gloves in the car. She's checking him. You want to say what you initially saw?
He had a pulse. He was breathing. I opened up his pupils to make sure his pupils were good. They were normal. Okay. He was kind of moving around a little bit, like he was kind of disoriented. And I kept saying, "Hey, I'm a nurse. My name's Brandy. Can I help you?" No response. Kind of just kept moving around a little bit.
While she was on the ground, I was surveying the area. One of the things I want to mention, I believe you said he always had 2 phones on him.
Yes.
Three. He had 3 or 3.
Yes, 3 phones.
He had a this is what I thought was suspicious, is there was his wallet and his phone. There was about $15 in cash, like laid out like this, as if to show this wasn't a robbery. It looked like someone set it there, like all nice. The wings were right by his feet. They hadn't been opened. The pizza was all over the road. The other thing I want to say, why was the car going this way if the pizza place is down that way?
Right.
That's the important thing I wanted to relate.
That's a possibility.
They should not have been
Yeah.
coming that way
And
with
the
fresh
hotel is
food.
this way.
And their hotel was over here.
Yes.
So they were coming back, which didn't make sense with that story. But we called
Thank you.
we called 911. By the way, I heard the report there was a homeless person who saw something. I was standing here, I didn't see anybody. So I just wanted to mention that.
Because we kind of thought that was a robbery or something like that. So we were trying to be super careful, wondering if there was anybody around. And we didn't see anybody. I told the guy that had pulled over, that had the flashers on, I told him, I said, call 911 right now.
Yeah. I said, have you called 911 yet? He said, no. I said, call right now.
And guess what?
So,
He reached out to me,
Good.
and he said that he was grunting when he
Yes.
walked over to
before
him.
you guys came.
As he pulled over, he saw paper in the road, so he slowed down. Then he saw a body. He said he thought it was a homeless person in the street, but he got out his car and realized the paper was money, not paper. And that's when he said he picked the money up to put it back in his wallet.
Okay, well, there you go.
So at the end of the
Maybe
day,
he
he
did
said
that.
you pulled up, but he said when he walked over to him, he was just grunting and moving.
Like kind of
We got out right after he did, so
Yeah, so it's
very
right
little
there.
time.
Yes, very little time.
What I want you to
When
check
you
out.
say 15 minutes,
Hold on.
15 minutes.
What do you want? I know exactly where he was, but what do you want to
But
check
what I want you to check out is find out when 911 got the call and find out when the ambulance left, because she arrived about 2 minutes before the ambulance did. So if
Before the ambulance?
the ambulance was already here, and she showed up. And the thing that I talked about is I don't know if she was driving or someone else was driving. She alleges she was driving. I'm going to say this. I have a lot of first responders in my family. I've been in a lot of these situations. When someone has a loved one that's on the street like that, you come up and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Is he okay? I was up at the gas station. I was waiting for him. I sure hope he's okay. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys. She showed up to give her story to make sure it was set straight. It was not like, where is he? Is he okay? Let me in there with him. It was
I'm glad you said that.
I was nothing like that.
No concern.
There was no concern on her at all. And I told that to the police at the moment, and
Yes, and here's the thing. January 6th, Gainesville, Gilchrist. No, Gainesville, I'm targeting just y'all. I talked to this guy. He reached out to me right after it happened. I had 400 and something messages in my inbox going live. Something say on January 6th, check your messages. And the guy said I was the first one on the scene, and they joined me. They say the nurse was not my wife or my girlfriend. They came in another car afterwards. I said, let me ask you a question. Did you talk to the police? He said, I gave them my number. I gave the detectives and the police on the scene, and they never called to this day. They told the Davis family, we've been reaching out to him, but we couldn't get an answer. They also said that they wanted answers.
This is my cousin daddy, y'all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, God is in the mix. We asked the detective. We asked that first guy that arrived, witness number one.
Hold on for a minute. I want y'all to give me a briefing on what y'all were and what y'all saw.
okay, we've been
all the time.
catching Tasha up. We were at this light. We come through. There was a car in front of us.
Hold on.
I am.
He turned his blinkers on, so we went around him. We go around him. We see he didn't stop because his car was broken, but there was someone in the road. She's a nurse. That's her job. She says, we got to get out and help him. We get out. She goes up and helps him. I'm securing the scene, making sure it's safe. I didn't see anybody else around. We must have been there. I don't know the timeline. I gave Tasha some information that could help figure out the timeline because we called 911 less than a minute after the other gentleman called 911. That's just a minute.
Yes, sir.
And she assessed him. She stabilized him. She made sure his neck was okay. We got him out of the road and moved him to the side.
Yes, sir.
I did see on the ground right by him was his wallet with money sticking out, a cell phone. He had his wings. The pizza was all over the place. And what I told him is what I thought was weird is the pizza place is that way. And he had fresh hot food. Why were they going this way again if the hotel was over there? That didn't make sense to me.
There's a lot of things in this consistencies that don't make sense. Like I say, okay, go ahead.
So as we're there, we might have been there 15, 20 minutes. I don't know the timeline. The way to find out the timeline is find out when they called 911 and find out when the ambulance left to go to the hospital and get that time slip. Because she pulled up. I don't know if she was driving or someone was driving her. We did not look for that. She pulled up.
She has a who?
Kiera.
I don't know.
Okay.
Lulu showed up. She didn't come up to us. She went up to him because they were putting him on the stretcher in the ambulance. And she had no concern in her voice. She had no. If she was on the side of the road and I drove up, I would be like, oh my God, what happened? Is he okay? Right. She was not like that. She was there to get her story straight. That's all she did. She kept repeating. It's like she rehearsed in her mind. She's like, get my story.
Tasha, come on. Go loud. Let this man.
This is right here. This right here.
Witnesses out they
Hold on. Let us speak. Go ahead. Finish on what you were saying.
And that's what I was saying.
Repeat that last word.
It was the fact that she showed up. And by the way, she got that boot on her foot. She was moving pretty quick. She was not hobbling at all. But she went up to the ambulance just to say, oh, I was up at the Circle K. He was upset and got out of the car.
Did you catch that? Let me break down what those eyewitnesses just told his family. They described Lulu as nonchalant, calm, not crying, not panicking, not asking if he was going to be okay. Just standing there, giving her version of events like she was filling out a police report. These were people who had no connection to Tyrone, no connection to Lulu, no reason to lie, no agenda to push. They were simply telling the family what they witnessed with their own eyes. And what they witnessed was a girlfriend who showed less emotion than complete strangers. Think about that for a second. People who had never met Tyrone were on their knees trying to save his life. Meanwhile, the woman who was supposed to love him was standing there, composed and collected, telling her story. Does that sound like someone who just watched their boyfriend jump out of a moving car? Does that sound like shock? Does that sound like trauma? Or does that sound like someone who knew exactly what was coming? But the disturbing behavior doesn't stop there. After Tyrone was transported to the hospital, he was admitted as a John Doe. No name, no identification, no family contact information provided. Lulu knew who he was. She knew his full name. She knew his family. She had access to all of his information. She could have provided it immediately to hospital staff. She didn't. For 24 full hours, Tyrone Davis Jr. lay in a hospital bed fighting for his life, and his family had no idea where he was. His father wasn't notified. His aunt wasn't notified. His children didn't know their father was dying. The people who loved him most were completely in the dark. It wasn't until the hospital was able to identify him on their own that they finally contacted his family. Not through Lulu. The hospital had to do detective work to figure out who this John Doe was. When you hear those 24 hours described, what does that sound like to you? Does it sound like someone in shock who forgot to provide information? Or does it sound like someone deliberately withholding information, buying time, getting a story straight? When Tyrone's family finally made it to the hospital and started asking questions, they were told something that directly contradicted the official police narrative. Medical staff told them, he did not die from natural causes. And here's the critical part, His injuries were not consistent with falling, being pushed, or anything with a moving vehicle. Read that again slowly. Not consistent with jumping out of a moving car. Not consistent with the story that was being told. Tyrone had a skull fracture, blunt force trauma to the back of his head, severe, catastrophic injuries. The kind of injuries that make medical professionals raise their eyebrows when they hear the explanation doesn't match what they're seeing. If someone jumps or falls out of a moving vehicle, there's a specific injury pattern: forward momentum, road rash, impact injuries to the front or side of the body, blunt force trauma to the back of the head. That's different. That suggests being struck from behind. That suggests impact while stationary or facing away. That suggests something violent and deliberate. Tyrone's cousin, Natalie Davis, went public with what the hospital told them. She made it clear: the medical evidence does not support the story that Tyrone jumped out of a moving car. So if he didn't jump, what really happened? December 29th, 2025. 2 days after the incident, Tyrone Davis Jr. succumbed to his injuries. A father was gone. A son was stolen from his family. A voice that motivated thousands every morning was silenced forever. You feel me? We'll never hear those words from him again. And his family was left shattered, holding on to a story that made absolutely no sense and demanding answers from a system that had already decided to move on. One of the most heartbreaking moments in this entire case came when Tyrone's aunt took to social media, desperately pleading for help. She went live, and what she said needs to be heard.
I'm not going to be on here long, but I always hop on and never look at the comments and see what people have to say. Sometimes they ask some questions, sometimes they, and then I be told when I get off. So if it is something y'all want to ask me or something y'all want to say, I'm going to be looking at the comments so I can answer or say something to answer your questions. It's a beautiful day out here. Let me show y'all this sun. It's went behind the clouds. But look at this beautiful day. We in 2026. God allow us to see a new year, a new day. Somebody didn't wake up this morning. Somebody didn't make it to see this day. So I give thanks to the man up above, first off. So I'm not going to hold up my time. It's moving fast. Turn this back around. As y'all know, I'm Natasha Davis. My nephew is Tyrone Davis. He do morning motivation with Dro. Since today is all about Dro, January 10th, I want to start off with morning motivation with Dro, Auntie Tasha. I also want to say it's January 10th. We're coming together all over the world. We're coming together all over the world where we asking for everybody who have a heart, for everybody who understand this is a big deal, for everybody to understand we only here for one movement, one answers. We want everything resolved, and the only way we're going to do that, we have to take a stand. And guess what? We are his voice. We're going to be his voice until we get justice. So today is Justice for Dro Day. January 10th, Justice for Dro Day. We having a candlelight visual here in Fort Lauderdale. And we're asking everybody who don't mind joining us, wherever you are, all over the world, light y'all candles at 6 o'clock. If you driving on the road, truck drivers, he was a truck driver, honk your horns, get on the CB. It's all about justice for Dro. That's it. That's all. That's all we asking for. That's it. That's all. I also want to say this. Thank you. I see where you calling, where y'all calling from. Y'all, I'm tuned in from ATL all over. You and your nephew, mother's side, coming together. I'm praying for y'all peace. I appreciate that, and I'll mention that in just a second. So today is going to be Justice for Dro Day at Oswald Park, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on 21st Avenue. We start from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. God's willing, we'll be lighting them candles at 6 o'clock. Wherever you at, we're wearing blue. If you got on blue, if you got on whatever you got on, tag me in it. It don't matter. But we lighting we lighting candles for justice, because guess what? He was that beacon of light for everyone he come into contact with. They even in the prisons. They in the prisons taking a stand, justice for Dro. They on overseas taking a stand, justice for Dro. In Florida, they taking a stand. The U.S. taking a stand. It is a big deal. We can't go in silent because it's too many of our black men unsolved cases, unsolved murderers, unsolved justice for him. We will be the voice for him. So some people is asking, do we need y'all to bring anything? As I had already said, we didn't ask for people to bring, but if the love of your heart leads you, you can get Publix chicken, you can get drinks, water, soda, ice. We out there in the hot stand and take a stand. So that is fine. Let me stop walking because it look like my connection coming out. But as far as the question that somebody just asked, we want peace. My brother said his son is a classy man. His son was a man of love. He don't want no drama today. It ain't gonna be no drama today. We done prayed about it and we put it in God's hands. So we asking everybody to come together. We asking everybody to come out to give us peace. That's the reason why today is playing this candlelight for justice for Dro. We're not gonna get distracted about this way and that way. No, the crooked road is gonna be made straight. When I tell you we're gonna walk in obedience and order our steps, God, because we need it. At the end of the day, if you have been watching, it's not about this, whatever this one decide or that one decide. We asking everybody who come out all over the world, join us. We know something definitely happened to my nephew. He not here with us. He not here with us. So you I gotta understand, if it was your child, if it was your brother, and it was your nephew, it doesn't matter who they are. They are African American, black men, white men. It doesn't matter who it is. Let me tell you something. The reason why a lot of stuff get brushed under the rug, because people don't stand up and take a stand. And guess what? You have to get out there and fight. You got to fight for your rights. At the end of the day, he lived a good life. He was a hardworking man. He is a father too. And I don't even want to even take the time out to go way left field. I'm focused on justice for Dro today. I'm asking you when you to come out, whatever you feeling on the inside, whatever emotions, whatever thoughts, it's okay. But please make the day be a peaceful day on justice for Dro, because we know that's the love that he gave. So we're going to go ahead and step out and make this move. I thank y'all, Tampa. I thank y'all, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And when I tell you we have to stand up, thank you, Latoya Turner, and make something happen. That's the only way. We at a standstill. You know why we at a standstill? Because we don't have answers. Do we deserve answers? Nah, that's something everybody should be puzzled about. Guess what? Something happened. We do know that. Something happened. He's not here. He's dead. He's gone. And God allowed him to leave. But guess what? It should be a purpose. And that's what we get into we're getting down to the bottom of. Devil, don't try to confuse my words. Don't try to mix up my words. Because one thing about it, guess what? Today is going to move forward in the way we ordained it to go. And that is to have justice for Dro Day all over the world. Once again, truckers or whoever driving at 6 o'clock, if you ain't round a candle, light your horns, honk your horns, light your candles. We're not asking for nothing. We don't need no money. We don't need nothing. We want my nephew. We want my nephew back here. It is a big deal. In our eyes, like I said, he's a celebrity. Celebrity superstars, where are y'all? We need justice people. Where are y'all? We need someone to take a stand and move higher. That's all we asking for. We asking that his living don't be in vain, because he's not just anybody. And that's what we're taking a stand on. That's what we asking for. Prayers and answers. All we could tell you is the lies we got. Not one, not two. Y'all already know that. So we still at that standstill where nothing ain't going on. And that's what we out here for today. Justice for Dro. Now, if you want to bring something by the park, that's fine. Join us. We got coolers out there. They got tent out there. You're welcome to help our family, because one thing anybody know, that Davis family, we going to help anybody family. And anybody you talk to that know this family, that's what we do. We want to get in the kitchen and say, we'll serve, we'll help, what we need to bring, what time y'all need us to be there, and we showing up. That's the love that didn't start by my nephew's death. So people don't mind pouring out, because that's what we do. And it's not all about what we do, what you do. We asking everybody to come together, and let's allow something to happen to bring justice fast. Time is moving. We don't have time to let it move on. Like they say, first 48. We done been lost that first 48. So we asking y'all to come together. Pray for our family. We need it. Pray for both families. In other words, he's my brother's son, but he has a mother too. So just pray for everybody that's torn. Even y'all don't know us, I'm not y'all auntie. So Auntie Tasha is asking everybody to join us today. You can go live, you can go wherever. Let me tell you, it's power in numbers, and we're going to say keep it peaceful and all your thoughts and all your negative away. We asking God to have this a positive day, love today, justice for Dro Day. And I'm gonna say this when I come back on here. I hope and pray that everybody all around the world have gotten aboard to understand that that's all we asking for. Join us so we can take a stand justice for Tyrone Davis Jr. Y'all have a good day. Later.
Did you catch that? Let me break down what those eyewitnesses just told his family. They described Lulu as nonchalant, calm, not crying, not panicking, not asking if he was going to be okay, just standing there, giving her version of events like she was filling out a police report. These were people who had no connection to Tyrone, no connection to Lulu, no reason to lie, no agenda to push. They were simply telling the family what they witnessed with their own eyes. And what they witnessed was a girlfriend who showed less emotion than complete strangers. Think about that for a second. People who had never met Tyrone were on their knees trying to save his life. Meanwhile, the woman who was supposed to love him was standing there, composed and collected, telling her story. Does that sound like someone who just watched their boyfriend jump out of a moving car? Does that sound like shock? Does that sound like trauma? Or does that sound like someone who knew exactly what was coming? But the disturbing behavior doesn't stop there. After Tyrone was transported to the hospital, he was admitted as a John Doe. No name, no identification, no family contact information provided. Lulu knew who he was. She knew his full name. She knew his family. She had access to all of his information. She could have provided it immediately to hospital staff. She didn't. For 24 full hours, Tyrone Davis Jr. lay in a hospital bed fighting for his life, and his family had no idea where he was. His father wasn't notified. His aunt wasn't notified. His children didn't know their father was dying. The people who loved him most were completely in the dark. It wasn't until the hospital was able to identify him on their own that they finally contacted his family. Not through Lulu. The hospital had to do detective work to figure out who this John Doe was. When you hear those 24 hours described, what does that sound like to you? Does it sound like someone in shock who forgot to provide information? Or does it sound like someone deliberately withholding information, buying time, getting a story straight? When Tyrone's family finally made it to the hospital and started asking questions, they were told something that directly contradicted the official police narrative. Medical staff told them, he did not die from natural causes. And here's the critical part. His injuries were not consistent with falling, being pushed, or anything with a moving vehicle. Read that again slowly. Not consistent with jumping out of a moving car. Not consistent with the story that was being told. Tyrone had a skull fracture, blunt force trauma to the back of his head. Severe, catastrophic injuries. The kind of injuries that make medical professionals raise their eyebrows when they hear the explanation doesn't match what they're seeing. If someone jumps or falls out of a moving vehicle, there's a specific injury pattern. Forward momentum, road rash, impact injuries to the front or side of the body. Blunt force trauma to the back of the head? That's different. That suggests being struck from behind. That suggests impact while stationary or facing away. That suggests something violent and deliberate. Tyrone's cousin, Natalie Davis, went public with what the hospital told them. She made it clear. The medical evidence does not support the story that Tyrone jumped out of a moving car. So if he didn't jump, what really happened? December 29th, 2025. 2 days after the incident, Tyrone Davis Jr. succumbed to his injuries. A father was gone. A son was stolen from his family. A voice that motivated thousands every morning was silenced forever. You feel me? We'll never hear those words from him again. And his family was left shattered, holding on to a story that made absolutely no sense and demanding answers from a system that had already decided to move on. One of the most heartbreaking moments in this entire case came when Tyrone's aunt took to social media, desperately pleading for help. She went live, and what she said needs to be heard. You can hear the pain. You can hear the desperation. You can hear a family that knows something terrible happened, and they're watching the world try to move on without giving them answers. She's calling on truck drivers to honk their horns. She's calling on people to light candles. She's calling on celebrities and influencers to use their platforms. Why? Because she knows her nephew. She knows the man Tyrone was. A man full of love, full of life, full of purpose. And she knows that man didn't just throw his life away on a random Friday night for no reason. She's fighting because the official story doesn't make sense. She's fighting because the medical evidence contradicts the narrative. She's fighting because eyewitnesses are describing behavior that suggests something sinister. She's fighting because if she doesn't, Tyrone becomes just another statistic, and whoever is responsible walks away free. Let's piece together the timeline of what we know happened. Tyrone and Lulu go on a planned Christmas cabin getaway. This was supposed to be romantic, a celebration. At some point during this trip, Tyrone ends up under a bridge on Archer Road with a fatal head injury. Strangers driving by find him lying in the road. They stop. They call 911, they provide aid, they try to save his life. Lulu shows up to the scene, but she's not the one who called for help. She's not the one rendering aid. She's just there, calm and collected. She doesn't provide his identification to the hospital. She doesn't notify his family. For 24 hours while he's dying, nobody who loves him knows where he is. When medical professionals examine his injuries, they say it doesn't match the story of jumping from a moving vehicle. December 29th. Tyrone dies. Now, you tell me, does any of that sound like a tragic accident, or does that sound like something else entirely? There are more eyewitnesses who came forward. More people who saw Lulu's behavior that night and felt compelled to reach out to the family because something felt wrong. Listen to what else they had to say. Multiple witnesses, different people, same observation. Lulu's lack of emotion wasn't a fluke. It wasn't one person's misinterpretation. Everyone who saw her that night said the same thing. She wasn't acting like someone whose boyfriend just had a horrific accident. She was acting like someone executing a plan. Now, I need to address what's being said on social media. There are accusations that Lulu and her twin brother conspired to set Tyrone up, that this was premeditated murder, that the cabin getaway was a trap. I can't say definitively that's what happened. I wasn't there. I don't have proof of a conspiracy. But what I can do is lay out the facts that are making people suspicious. Fact: the medical evidence doesn't match the official story. Fact: multiple eyewitnesses described Lulu's behavior as cold, calm, and rehearsed. Fact: she didn't call 911 herself. Fact: she didn't provide his identification to the hospital. Fact: she didn't notify his family for 24 hours. Fact: strangers showed more urgency and concern than she did. Fact: the initial story changed from slipped and fell at a gas station to jumped out of a moving car. Fact: if she was driving and he jumped, the direction she was traveling makes no sense. Why would she be going that way? Why would she leave the scene? Every single piece of this puzzle points to something darker than a man impulsively jumping out of a moving vehicle. And here's what makes this case even more infuriating. The Gainesville Police Department has labeled this death as not suspicious. They've taken Lulu's account, filed their report, and essentially moved on. They haven't aggressively investigated why the medical evidence contradicts the story. They haven't followed up on why multiple eyewitnesses described such bizarre behavior. They haven't pressed on the 24-hour delay in family notification. They haven't demanded answers for why he was admitted as John Doe. The investigation is technically ongoing, but let's be real. When police decide a death isn't suspicious, they're not actively working the case. They're letting it fade away. And that's exactly why Tyrone's family can't stop fighting. They've launched a petition on change.org demanding a full forensic investigation. They're protesting on Archer Road at the exact spot where Tyrone was found. They're flooding the Gainesville mayor's office with calls. They're using social media to spread awareness under hashtags like Justice for Dro, I am Tyrone Davis Jr., and Davis Strong. Because they know if they stop pushing, this case gets buried. Tyrone becomes a forgotten name, and whoever is responsible never faces consequences. The family is demanding very specific things. They want a thorough forensic investigation that treats this as a suspicious death. They want transparency. They want a review of the timeline and all statements provided by Lulu. They want answers about the blunt force trauma that took Tyrone's life. They want accountability, and they absolutely deserve it. Tyrone's father said something that broke my heart. He said, "All I really want is answers to what belongs to me. I'm not asking for no GoFundMe, no money, no nothing. I just want candles and prayers and answers." As a father, what more can I ask? What more can he ask? He's asking for the bare minimum. The truth. Transparency. Justice for his son. Tyrone Davis Jr. was 26 years old. He was a trucker who took pride in his work. He was a father with children who will now grow up without him. He was a motivator who started thousands of people's days with encouragement and positivity. He had dreams. He had a future. He had people who loved him. All of that was taken from him on December 27, 2025, and his family deserves to know exactly how and why. The eyewitnesses didn't know Tyrone. They didn't know Lulu. They had no connection to this case, no reason to fabricate, no motive to lie. And yet, what they saw that night tells a story that law enforcement seems determined to ignore. A girlfriend with no tears, no panic, no fear, just a calm, collected recitation of events that sounded more like a prepared statement than a trauma response. A scene that felt staged, a timeline that doesn't add up, a direction of travel that makes zero sense if her version is true, medical evidence that directly contradicts the official narrative. Was it premeditated? I can't stand here and say with absolute certainty that it was. But here's what I can say with absolute certainty. Strangers on the street who had never met Tyrone Davis Jr. showed more love, more urgency, more concern for his life than the woman who claimed to love him. And if that doesn't disturb you, if that doesn't make you question everything about this case, then I don't know what will. Tyrone deserves justice. His children deserve answers. His father deserves the truth. And we're not going to let this story disappear. If you want justice for Tyrone Davis Jr., share and like this video everywhere. Comment "Justice for Dro" below so the algorithm pushes this to more people. Make noise. And subscribe to this channel because I promise you, I'm not letting this case go until there are real answers. His voice was silenced, but ours won't be. See you in the next one.